Hey, Coach, when you look at the tape of the last couple of games, is there something that jumps out at you, something that's glaring that you want to clean up heading into tonight, moving forward?
I think it's more just motivation. I think we're in the doldrums, so to speak, a little bit. It's we've had a long, heavy stretch with a few injuries that compounds the effort and concentration for many guys in an already condensed schedule. So, I just feel like our level of play has dropped slightly. I don't think the guys are being unprofessional or not trying. I just think we're in one of those stretches where it's difficult mentally, physically, and sometimes it's like you're just trying to grasp for that little bit of a spark again, and that's to be expected, and we got to fight through that. So that's the challenge right now, is to fight through that kind of slight flatness, malaise, whatever you want to call it, that we're facing at this stage of the season. And I know there's a patch like this for every team, a patch or two like this for every team, especially in a season like this where the schedule is so condensed.
With the injuries and with new guys being added, we've heard the phrase ramp up quite a bit. From your perspective, what are the last steps of the ramp up process before you feel comfortable with putting a guy out there on the floor?
Yeah, I mean, the process is really dictated by the performance team, by the scientists, so to speak. So they're using real data and research to formulate a plan and a process for that is, kind of dubbed ramp up. It's definitely much more thought out than the name. So they're a player has to hit a certain amount of markers. They have to be trending in a certain amount of direction with the response, with the productivity, and being able to manage the loads. And as you manage the loads and accumulate the loads, you adapt to the demands that are going to face, and then you can make a safer prediction that the player can handle the demands. So that's it in a nutshell. And you have to go through that process for us to feel like they can return safely to play.
Brian Mahoney, Associated Press.
Steve, when you talk about the doldrums and stuff, I know James had the same kind of comments the other night. How much of that you think is just not having Kevin back? Like, these guys kind of, when he shows up, no matter how well he plays, there'll be a boost because guys just want to play with him.
Well, I think that's a part of it. There'll be a lot of excitement when Kevin comes back. He's one of the best players on the planet. So I think our guys will be thrilled. It'll give them some juice. But I think regardless of when Kevin comes back, it's with Kevin being out, with Kai, being out at certain periods, the demands on the rest of the guys are heavier. Everyone's got to step up and play more minutes at the top, the bottom, wherever it may be. So, I think that adds to, a little bit to the fatigue or the mental or physical fatigue, whatever way you want to slice it. And I also think, though, that it's cyclical. You go through stretches where you feel that way. We're humans. We're not just firing on all cylinders at all times. And so, I think some of that is cyclical and will come back regardless, but no doubt when we have a healthy roster, if we have a healthy roster, like when everyone's actually playing at the same time, that'll give everyone life as well.
Malika Andrews, ESPN.
Hey, Steve, I'm wondering, this may be silly, but is there anything you guys can do at this point to prepare yourselves to be able to gel? Or is it basically like, well, we need everyone out there or we don't? Is there anything that you can do, baby steps, before you get everybody?
Good question. Maybe, but it's all kind of half measures, whether it's just being in the, on the practice floor together, in the film room together, really you got to get out there on the floor and play together and find a rhythm and cohesion and understanding. And some of it's already there. It's just not been there because of absences. So, once they get back up there, hopefully it comes quickly. But it might take time, and that's okay. And whatever time we need, we'll need, and we'll do the best we can to abbreviate that period of time and be as efficient as possible. But it just is what it is, and we have to be patient, and we have to be willing to suffer a little bit while we find it. So that's okay. That's our journey, and we're ready for it.
Thank
Brian
you.
Lewis, New York Post.
Hey, Steve, you talked about we have to be able to suffer a little bit as we go through this. I mean, does that include, say, DJ and guys going in and out of the lineup? I mean, he has started, obviously, the lion's share of the games since you guys traded Jared. But, I mean, you're adding LaMarcus, who's obviously, a pretty experienced, viable player. I mean, did you talk to DJ about that either as that process was going on or now that LaMarcus is here ramping up?
DJ's already been in and out of the lineup, started, not played, not played a lot. My chats with DJ have been about, and with everyone, frankly, is that this is a sacrifice for everyone to put ourselves in a position to compete for a championship. Every team has to sacrifice. And so we all got to sacrifice. We all got to accept that, it's not about an individual. It's about the group. And so we all have to be ready to accept our roles. Whether you're starting, whether you're coming off the bench, or whether you're not in the rotation, you have to bring energy. You have to be positive, and you have to give to the group and protect the group. And so that goes for everyone. So whether DJ's in or out of the rotation, whether Jeff's in or out, whether LaMarcus is in or out, they have to still come with a great attitude, play for the greater good, bring energy and spirit every day. And whether you play or not is kind of what unfolds, but the process is more important. How do we approach this? And so I think everyone's got to accept that we're all in here to try to be the best team we can be, give ourselves the best chance to win as possible. And that takes sacrifice and understanding that it's not about you, it's about the collective group and protecting the group.
Tom Dowd, BrooklynNets.com.
Hey, Steve, while you do feel you guys are in a little bit of a funk, you're still winning these games, 8 of 9 since the All-Star break. I mean, what are the positives that you feel are kind of carrying you guys through this stretch when overall you're not at the level you really want to be at?
Well, we won a number of games in different ways. I think the Portland game was a big win. We defended really well the final 3 quarters. I thought it was a real group effort. Tough flight out there and play, 3 time zones across the country the next night. It was a great win. The last 2 games, not so great. We got across the line, but they weren't great performances. But, there is a middle ground. Like, I love winning ugly. You got to find ways to win when you don't have your best stuff. But, what I didn't love about the last 2 games is just the sharpness, lack of finishing, so to speak, each in possessions and in the game in general. But like I said, like that comes and goes a little bit. You're going to have to go through cycles in the season where you don't have your best stuff and it's just off. But overall, we found different ways to win after the break, and that's really positive. But have we played our best basketball? Rarely. But lots to build on, lots to be grateful for, and we just keep chipping away. I think the guys recognize it. They're not like, what do you mean we're not playing well? They're like, yeah, we're not playing as well as we can. They come in with concentration every day. They watch the film. They take the constructive notes that we give them every day, and they want to improve. So I'm really proud of the way the teams approach the season, approach even this stretch where we haven't played our best, and we've been able to win some of the games maybe we didn't deserve to win, but we found a way to win, and that's what it's about. So there's a lot of positives to take away from it, and I'm proud of the way the teams approach the season. Way more times than not. So it's been a great group, and we're happy that we've won these games. We just want to keep raising our level.
Last question, Christian Winfield, New York Daily News.
Hey, Coach, that feeling of being in a funk, or I think you said of malaise, can you see that in any concrete ways translate onto the floor? Like, are there any ways that you can pinpoint that maybe before this feeling came about that kind of it wasn't and now it is because of it?
No, not at all. It's just subconscious. I think, it's just that time of the year. Played a ton of games in quick succession, and had some injuries and absences that have put more pressure on the group. So some guys have had a heavy burden here, and it's just what it is. That's the path and journey we're on, and we have to deal with it. Everyone goes through it. Everyone's going through similar things at different times of the season. So we stick with it. We keep growing. We keep getting better. And the good news is we've won some games. And if we can keep being greedy here and try to win some games while we find our best form, I think that's our challenge right now.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you.